On behalf of the Badminton Pan American Confederation, we warmly welcome you to our Coach Corner program. My name is Richard Wong, and it is my pleasure to be the moderator for today's session. Welcome to this new edition of Coach Corner, a space for learning and sharing experiences within the badminton community. In today's session, we are pleased to have one of the most renowned para-badminton athletes and coaches in Europe and worldwide, Guillaume Gailly from France. Guillaume is a leading figure in para-badminton player development and has dedicated his career to improving training methodologies with outstanding results. His experience and expertise have been key to the development of high-performance para-athletes. Before we begin, let me showcase the highlights of his professional career. He is a European champion in men's doubles SL3, SL4 in 2023. He's a bronze medalist, world champion, men's doubles SL3, SL4 in 2022. French club head coach during 15 years, coaching players such as Leah Palmero, the Youth Olympic Games participant, or Wojciech Kodlarczyk. Good night, Guillaume. Welcome us from your home in Paris. We invite you to take control and share your screen.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. I'm very pleased to participate in the Coach Corner program from Badminton Panam. It's the first time for me, and so as you saw, I'm a badminton coach since a very long time, but as well I'm para-badminton player since almost 10 years now. 10 years I had an accident and I've been amputated, and then I became a player. So I will share you some information from the BWF programs and the resource, and also my experience as a coach with other players, and my experience as a player with the prosthetic limb. So the program will be in 3 different stages. So the first one we'll see about the prosthesis, the standing classes in para-badminton, and all the vocabulary that we use for the prosthesis. The second part will be playing with a lower limb prosthetic, and then training a player with a lower limb prosthetic. So some players may have to use a prosthesis while they are playing badminton. In the rule of para-badminton, the use of upper limb prosthesis is prohibited in any class, but the use of the lower limb prosthesis is authorized in SL3, SL4, and even SU5 if the player needs to play in SU5 for the doubles sometime. So we will focus only on the lower limb prosthesis for this presentation. And generally, it's the result of amputation, but it's not only that. You will see that there is few players that are born with a lower leg, and then in some case they are also using what we used to call a prosthesis, and what is almost the same as a prosthesis, even if there was no amputation before. So for this first part, so the main reason why the players they are using a prosthesis can be congenital for the first one. So it means that the player is born with an impairment or maybe a shorter leg. So it can be the result of a disease also. So the player has suffered a disease that led to an amputation. So some of the common disease we can see is the polio, even if in polio there is very few amputation after. But we can see after a cancer, after meningitis or diabetes. When I was in the recovery center, I met a lot of people much older than me, but who suffered diabetes and who had to be amputated of 1 or 2 legs or 2 feet. The third reason, which is maybe the main, is the player is victim of a trauma. So a trauma can be an accident. For me, that was a motorcycle accident. Can be also gunshot wounds. It can be assholes. So there's many different things. I met some people who survived to earthquake, but they were under the house when the earthquake was there after the earthquake, and then they had to be amputated after that. And of course, I won't be full if I don't talk to you about one of the reasons that can happen, which is the shark attack. So you have two kinds of different amputation. The first one is the above the knee amputation. It means all the full leg above the knee. The leg is amputated. And so on the right side, you have some pictures of the different prostheses, which are, sorry, it's the cut. So you have some full leg prosthetics. The one on the right is more for amputation of the higher part, and we don't face that kind of player in para badminton. But the two others is something that you can see. So you have the bigger part, which is the socket, which is the part that goes on the limb. And for the full leg prosthetic, you have the external knee. And another hand, if you have the below the knee amputation, so it's what happened to me. So I still have my knee on the left leg, but the amputation is done on the lower part of the leg. You have some examples there of the prosthetic also. So this is the tibial prosthesis. The two different class where you will see the players using a prosthetic is the first one is the SL3, standing lower. So that's why it's SL3. In standing lower, so you have different kind of players. You can have one leg above the knee amputation, so only one leg is amputated, but above the knee. You can also have the two legs amputated, but below the knee for both of the legs. And we can also face players with a very short leg when they are born. So it's something that can happen. I won't talk more about the classification process because I'm not classifier. And if you want to know more about that, it's important to see with official classifier to have more information. Some pictures of some players, one that you know in Panam very well. Another players with the two legs amputation. So the one before was the one leg amputation above the knee. And here we have a player with the two leg amputation below the knee. And here is a player, so he has no prosthesis, but he's a player that could have one. So you can see that he has one strong leg. And he has also the second is very short. So it's a player that if he has the possibility to see with the prosthesist and the money also for buying and building a prosthetic, that is a player that could have. And we have few players in SL3 who have a very short leg and who are playing with external prosthesis. In SL4, still standing lower, but the second part. So SL3, the players, they play in a half court when they play in single. And SL4, which is my class, we play on the full court. And so this time it's either one leg below the knee amputation, either one short leg at birth. And here I can show you also some pictures of some kind of players. So many players from Panam. You can start to see that sometimes the amputation is on the racket hand, sometimes it's on the non-racket hand. The prosthetics are not the same for everybody. You can have a regular foot with a shoe, you can have a blade with a shoe or without a shoe. Other players from Panam. One more, and then here, so it's one player from Germany who is born with a shorter leg, so you can see that he has the right foot, and he has just enough space to wear kind of prosthetic where he can have a foot under, and so when he's standing, his two legs have the same size. And for him, the technique on the court will be almost the same as with the amputated players. So that's why I added to this presentation, because for me, the technique for playing and also for training the player will be almost the same. I had a look to show you of what we are talking about how many players are playing in a high level, international level in para badminton, players using a prosthesis. So in men's single SL3, what's important is that the Paralympic champion in Paris 2024 is using a prosthesis. So it's the best result he can have. There is 2 players in the top 10. That was, I think, in January. So for this year, 2025, 2 players in the top 10 were using prosthesis, 5 players in the top 20. In the last World Championship in Thailand, there were 6 players out of 27. And for the Paralympic Games, 3 players out of 8. And so they won the gold medal, and 1 second won the bronze medal. So very good results for them. For the ladies single in SL3, the world champion 2022, she has a shorter leg and she is using a prosthesis. And there are 3 in the top 10, there are 5 in the top 20. There were 4 out of 23 during the last World Championship, and there were 3 out of 10 in the last Paralympic game, and the best result was the 4th place. And for the men's single SL4, you can see that the results are not the same, that there is no main result in men's single. In double, it's a bit different. There is no player in the top 10 actually. I've been number 10 one time during maybe 1 week or 1 month, something like this, but it's a long time ago. And at the beginning of this year, and maybe still now, I'm still in the top 20, but we are not many players. And we were 4 out of 30 in the last World Championship, and there was no prosthesis player in men's single SL4 at the Paralympic game in Paris. And for the ladies single, we have 1 Paralympic bronze medalist in the Paralympic Games in Paris. She is the only one in the top 10. There are 5 in the top 20, and there were 4 in the last World Championship and 2 out of 9 in the Paralympic Games in Paris. So you can see it's not the majority of the players in SL3, SL4 wearing the prosthesis. There's few players, but especially in SL3, there is a lot of very good results for some of the players. You have, so on the left side, the vocabulary in English, on the right side in Spanish. You will have later in French also. So just about to share you the words that we use. So the residual limb is the stump in English. And on the stump, we put a gel liner. The gel liner is a soft skin that we can put on the skin of the stump, and which is quite soft, and it's the best for the skin. And after we put this liner, we put everything in the socket. The socket is generally a hard one. It's made of carbon. Now there is some who are soft, but generally it's more hard actually, and especially for sport, it's better to have a hard one. So it's called the socket in English. After we have a tube, so on the left, extreme left, it's a tibial prosthesis, and the second is a femoral prosthesis. So When it's tibial, we don't need any external knee. So there is direct the pylon, which is an aluminum tube with some pieces that can make the joint between the socket and the pylon and the tube. And at the end, we have a prosthetic foot and foot shell also sometimes. So depending on the activity, if it's for the day or if it's for the sport, the fits can be different, and we can change. We can have different prostheses. And for the femoral prosthesis, so you can see that we need to add a knee, because when the player is walking or climbing the stairs or maybe running sometime, it's much easier to have a knee. So there is many different kinds of knee. Sometimes it's just mechanical. Sometimes there is some captors or sensors, and there is some little engine that can help. But it's not something that we really use for the sport like para-badminton, because the time of reaction is not easy, and for the player it's not very easy to use, and maybe sometimes it's more source of troubles. And so some players, they use the same prosthesis for the day and for the badminton, but they can also block their knee sometime and play with one straight leg. And we will see later that they cannot do any lunge on this leg, of course. So here are the main words that we use. So in English, the stump, the gel liner, the socket, the pylon, and the foot. And if you speak French, you have the words in French, and same in Spanish or in Portuguese for the Brazilian friends. And on these ones, so it's the same prosthesis, it's the words in French, but also what I wanted to show you on these ones, it's the blue areas. It's the points of contact. And you have on both of the different prostheses. And the main point of contact is at the end of the stump. And if it's important that the socket is well adjusted to the size of the stump, and the stump can change side depending on the training, depending on if the player is gaining or losing some weight, or training a lot, or maybe if it's very hot or very cold, or after when you take the flight and you go somewhere, if you stay long time in the plane, then maybe the stump can get a little bigger. And so the adjustment of the size of the stump compared to the socket is very, very important. And if the stump is too small, the player may have some troubles at these points of contact, and it can be very, very hard and very painful. And we'll see later, it's something that we have to take in consideration for the player and also for the trainer. A little point on the different fits. So on the left side, you have the different fits we can see. So the first one is really a piece of wood. And after inside now, in many different fits, we have some short blades, carbon blades, that allows to take the energy and to give back the energy when we are walking or running. And same if we are practicing any sport, and we can do a jumping. And on the right side, you have the blades. The blades are very useful for the sport, but for badminton, many of the blades that we use in the tracks, on the tracks for athletics, are not very easy, because they are not done to go on the sideways. They are really done to go only frontward, and to be on the track where it's easy to run, and where there is no change of direction. And that's why they have done recently new ones. For me, I use the second one, this one here. And this one is more solid. It's also heavier, but there is more material on the blade, and it doesn't mean it doesn't break, but it's normally it's better for using long time. And also there is a little blade under and a piece of rubber here that can absorb, and this kind of foot blade is really done to put a shoe and after also to go sideways. So I tried few years ago, and since I tried it, I said, okay, I really need this one. Before I used this one, I broke 2 times foot like this one when I was in tournament. And so after, it's really important that the player can choose and can try, can test different. It's not every time easy, and also it's a question of price. Just for your information, any kind of prosthesis, tibial or femoral, is minimum is around $10,000. And can be much more if there is a microprocessor prosthesis. So it's not really for the ankle as we see here on the foot. It's more for the knee, for the femoral prosthesis. For walking, many of the players now, they have a microprocessor prosthesis, but the price is much more expensive, much more than $10,000. So after, for the blade, the question is shoe or not shoe. It's now we have more and more players using a shoe. Sometimes they have to cut the shoe in half. Sometimes they have to find how they can put, because the shoe is not really done for going on a blade. But for a badminton court and when we play on the mat, it's generally better to have a shoe because either you can slide sometime because of the blade. I will talk now about the potential hazards that you can face with the prosthesis. So the first one is the injury of the stump. So the main injury can be very small, like just small blisters and skin burn. And also I told you some pain on the contact points. When the prosthesis is not well adjusted, then you can have some pain. And with badminton, where you are running and jumping many times, if the end of the stump is touching the contact point and touching too many times, then it starts to be really hard, and you can have small or harder injuries. And then it's important to see with the player how they can reduce and how they can do, and to see after with the prosthesist if it needs adaptation or just a change in the prosthesis or in the material. The second hazard is the hardware breakdown. So it can be the gel liner. There is a hole inside. If you have a hole in the gel liner, maybe you have more blisters after. It can be the socket. I never had any breakdown on the socket, but I'm happy I never had, because I'm not sure I can fix it myself. It can be the pylon you will see on one of the next picture, and it can be on the foot and the blade, of course. And the last trouble you can have is during the transport, especially in the plane. So if you don't take the prosthesis in the cabin and you put in the check luggage, then you need protection, because you never know what happens. And for me, I would recommend to all the players to take in the cabin, because I saw some players who arrived in tournament and the leg for the sport was not there, and arrived only 4 or 5 days later. And then when you have a prosthesis for sport and one for the day, you cannot play sport with the prosthesis for the day, and maybe you can break it, and it's not a good deal for the player. And of course, it's always better to have spare parts and to have a few tools to be able to service yourself, because in the tournaments, there is not every time some prosthesist there with everything that the player would need to replace a broken foot or a broken blade, or to change or to just tighten the screw when it's necessary. So few images, you see, this is the same foot I use, and it's a friend from Spain who had this a few years ago, and it's not common. My prosthesis told me that it's impossible to break in two parts, but this is the proof that it's possible. So of course here you cannot do anything except having a spare foot. For me, it happened last year during my training. So on the left reception of a jump, and I fell down, and I thought, okay, there's something wrong. And in fact, one of the pieces on my prosthesis just broke in two parts. So I was lucky because I had some spare parts, and I could fix the trouble myself, and I could keep on training with a quite good quality of prosthesis. And after I order a new part to arrive just before the World Championship, and then I could change everything myself. Last thing is the perspiration. So when it's hot and when we are doing sports, when we have the stump in the prosthetic, it's impossible to let the water and the perspiration go out. And so sometimes if we perspire too much, then we have to take off. So it's a little video. There is no sound, but just to show you after some minutes of training or one set or things like this. So for me, you can see there can be a lot of sweat. And when there is a lot, after the liner is not well adapted, it can move, so it can lead to some injury. And also it's really discomfort when we are playing, because it's like playing with badminton shoes where you don't tighten the lace. And so for my part, when I train, I can dry when I want. And when I play matches, I try to dry every break after 11 and at the end of every set. And so even if it's not wet in a lot, then I do it, and after generally I feel better. So the next
You're welcome.
part is thank you. Yeah, playing with the lower limb prosthesis. So just a point of the biomechanical principles. So for the leg biomechanic, the movement is enabled by lever systems around the joints. So the hip, the knee, and the ankle. As for the amputee disabilities, amputee player is deprived of one ankle in SL4, one ankle and one knee in SL3, of course on the same leg, and it can be two ankle in SL3. And the different joint movements. So if you're not familiar with that, you can see in the BWF coach manual level 2, there is a big part about the biomechanic and how the body is working. And so you can see that we can do on the joint the flexion and extension. We can do internal and external rotation. We can do adduction and abduction. And also for the foot, eversion and inversion. I give you just an example in two pictures. So here you have a player who is doing a jump for maybe a jump smash or jump drop shot in the rear court, and then he's doing flexion and after extension of the ankles, the knees, and the hips. And so as coaches, you will have to change for the player with the amputation, because there is at least one ankle who's not working anymore. and you cannot use. So of course, the technique will be different for the player. So the main part for we won't cover the hitting because the hitting is done with the arms and the racket, and being amputated of one leg doesn't make you worse than any other for hitting, but for the movement we will have some trouble. So here also I took the informations. You can find that in the coach manual, level 1 this time, on the page number 50, starts on the page number 50. So you have the movement cycle, the start, approach, hit, and recover. For every hit, every shot you want to do anywhere on the court, you have this movement cycle. In the start, you have the split steps. In the approach phase, you have the running steps, the chassis steps, the cross behind, the hop, and the pivot. During the hit, you can do either a lunge, either a jump. And during the recover, you will still also have, like for the approach, the running steps, chassis steps, hop, and pivot. So what are the consequences on the movement for the prosthesis players? If it's a femoral prosthesis, then the player will use more a lateral position. And remember that in femoral prosthesis is SL3, SL3 in single. The players, they are playing only on the half court. Means that they will go forward and backward, and they will not have to go sideways so many times. So just a little on the side, but not so much. So the player, if you have a look to some video or pictures, you will see that it's more waiting lateral position, generally with the prosthesis in the center of the court. And when they go forward for doing a lunge, then they will use the able leg in front to do the lunge. And if they go on the back, it's the same. They will really lead with the able leg. And it means that there will be no or very little rotation. In a general manner, it's not true for everybody. And we can see there is few players when they have time in the back, the shuttle is very high. They have time to go back and after to make a big jump. And some players, even with only one able leg, they are able to jump quite high. Of course, there is no lunge on the femoral prosthesis. It's impossible. Either there is no external knee, either there is a mechanical external knee, but it's impossible to control how far is going the lunge. So the players, they never do that. And it means that they will do the lunge on the non-racket leg. So it's a bit different. It can be, it depends if it's the prosthesis, the amputation is on racket or non-racket leg. But if the player has amputation on the racket leg, he will have to do the lunge on the non-racket leg. Of course, the amplitude will be a bit lower than if it's the racket leg. And also there is less starting power because it's impossible to do a split step. It's impossible to go down and to flex both of the legs. And so if the player has to push on the prosthesis to go opposite way and to push strong, it's really hard. The blades and the feet now, they allow a bit more power, but just a bit more. It's not full power. It's not the same as if you have your ankle and your foot and you can use any of the muscle of the lower part of the leg. For a tibial prosthesis, the lunge on the prosthesis is possible, but there is less amplitude because of the socket and the point of contact behind the knee. A player with the prosthesis cannot flex the leg 100%. I cannot go down on my legs and flex and go to touch my butt on the floor like I was doing when I was a child. It's impossible for me. I am limited by the flexibility of my leg due to the prosthesis. So the lunge on the non-racket leg is more frequent. One more time, it depends if the amputation is on racket leg or non-racket leg. And same, less starting power. It's better than in SL3 with the femoral prosthesis, but still there is a lack of power for starting. And for the double tibial prosthesis, of course, this time the player has to do the lunge on one of the two prostheses, but the lunge there will be smaller. There is less starting force and there is less stable balance. If you have a player with both two amputation below the knee, and especially if he has two blades, you can see that when he's just want to stay standing and talking with you, he cannot stop his leg. He has to do some short movements just to control the balance. When you don't have the heel in the back of the foot, it's impossible to stay like that. And maybe you can try. There is some place where anybody can try and put some kind of prosthesis with the blades under, and so it's possible for anybody to try just to walk and run with the blades. The last part is training a player with the lower limb prosthesis. So the areas of focus for you as a coach, what you can focus on is, of course, adapting the movement patterns, the balance, the speed, agility, and quickness, and physical training, the four parts we will see. So about the movement patterns, one more time, Coach Manual BWF level 2, page 77. You have a table that remembers you what are the official patterns for the movement cycle for each part, each kind of shots that you want to do on the court. So the question you can ask is, can the player move and replace and recover following the movement pattern, the model for able badminton? And if not, what adaptation can be proposed? So I will not answer. Of course, it really depends. There is so many different kind of players. I was player and coach high level before I got accident and I got amputated. So I knew a lot about badminton. Other players, they have amputation before they start playing badminton. So the experience is not the same. And if the amputation is on the racket leg or non-racket leg will be much different also. So it's really depending on each player, and each player will be different. But the tips I can give you is observe some other players with the same characteristics. Sometimes you think that the player is not able to do something, but finally, when you look at another player, then you see, oh, this player is able to do, and he has exactly the same amputation. He's using the same prosthesis, or maybe he's using a blade and my player is not using a blade. So maybe we can try to use a blade and see how it's going on. And after is use different development methods. So shaping, wall part wall, and chaining, that are methods that are covered in the level 1, the coach manual level 1. So you will find that I don't have the page number, but it's a different kind of methods where you can teach and help the player to acquire the good technique and different technique for the movement patterns. About the balance, so this time I can recommend you to go and see the videos. So CE2 is Coach Education Level 2. And M8 is the name, so module 8, video number 1 and video 2, video number 7. So it's all the video that have been done by BWF for the coach education program. They are available on YouTube. It's easy to find the links, and maybe we can send you back the links to see that. The videos, they are available in English, in French, in Spanish minimum, and there is other language, I think. And it's not specially for para badminton, it's for everybody, but of course, with the prosthesis, the balance will be one part very important for all the players, either is a tibial or femoral prosthesis. So it's a top priority for all the players. You can work on static and dynamic balance. It's important to strengthen the abdominal belt. Of course, the better the power on the upper body is, and the easier it will be for the balance, and it helps to balance the body better also. Strengthening the valid leg to protect it. Generally, if you have one amputation on one leg, then you will use the second leg more. It's common for everybody, especially at the start. But if you do that, the able leg will be more likely to get injuries and to get tired. And if you have any issue, any trouble to the valid leg, then of course for the player it's going to be very hard after. So doing a lot of exercise to reinforce, to strengthen the able leg is really important. But in the same time, you have to develop the balance on the prosthesis. So it's two works you have to do at the same time. And for that, there is many different exercise. I went too fast. So learn and develop the ability to use the prosthesis and develop the lower limb coordination. So it's the same exercise we will use for any badminton player. It's a fast feet exercise, agility ladder, and reaction games. Maybe this exercise, they will need to be adapted. With the tibial prosthesis will be easy to do. You can do almost everything. With the femoral prosthesis, there is some games that are not useful or maybe too hard to do, but then it's a very good work for the coach to just imagine and think, okay, how I can change, I can adapt the exercise I've seen to the player in order to help him to have better coordination and to use in a very efficient way the prosthesis. And physical training, so same, strengthen the valid limb, the valid leg, excuse me, and develop the leg with the prosthesis. So you can do squat, lunge, adduction, abduction. It's something in recovery center before we have the possibility to wear the prosthesis for the first time. After amputation, you need some time for the stem to reduce in volume, and also you need some time to let the body recover, and you cannot wear the prosthesis just 1 week after you got amputated. It takes at least 1 month. During this month, we do every day 40 minutes of movement with some weights, and we do flexion and extension, adduction and abduction of the leg every day, just to let the body remember what it means walking, because we will need this later. And so we don't want the body to stop totally using some kinds of movements. You can use the Swiss ball for the balance and elastic bands also for any kind of exercise. So one more time, you have the links for the video, and I encourage you to go and see all this video and to take some good experience. And finally, adjust the practice time and the load. So it's important, especially for the beginners, and after you can increase, but and also allow time to dry and replace the prosthesis. So because we are sweating with the perspiration. The players, when we start training hard, then excuse me, we need just time to adapt, and we need to give time to the body and to the stem to adapt. And so at the beginning, the pain and the blisters and the little burn on the skin, they can arrive very quick. And so at the beginning, it's necessary to get time and to get recovery. And also to talk with the player, so how he feels and what he can do. And if if you want to know more, if you are really interested and you have some players that you want to train and you are training every week or every day, my recommendation would be to try to go to see the prosthesist with him, so you can talk with the prosthesist. You can see how they are doing how they are building the prosthetics, and you can have a technical discussion. And so after, it's how you will improve with the player and find everything that will be better for him. And after, don't hesitate to try new things. And of course, have fun. Excuse me. Have fun on the court. For the player, it's really important. And for you also. And I'm pretty sure you will have. So thank you. Muchas gracias. Obrigados to todos. And now I will answer your question if you have. And if you need more information, you can probably find me on some kind of social medias.
Okay, thank you, Guillaume. We'll now move on to our question and answer section. Please, if you have any questions or comments you want to share, write them down in the chat box. All right, in the meantime, Guillaume, you mentioned the importance of balance and strength in players with prosthesis. What specific exercises do you recommend to improve these aspects?
For the balance, it can be a static or dynamic, just doing some lunge, for example. Doing the lunge on the prosthesis also. And try to find the balance, and maybe after use some elastic band. So lunge position, and I have the elastic band, which is on one side, and I try to maintain the position while someone is pulling the elastic band, or me just doing some trunk rotation. I take the elastic band going on the side and I do some trunk rotation, but I am in the lunge position. And after, more dynamic, there is one exercise, I think it's called around the clock. And so you ask the player to come standing, and after to go doing one lunge, and you say, okay, 1 p.m. or 1 or 6 or 9 or 7, and the player has to turn and go and to do a lunge to the number, the time of on the clock, and then after to recover and to get back to the starting position. So it can be something like that for the prosthesis. And you ask me second, for the strength of the body, or the core strengths. Richard, yes.
Yes.
I would say the plank, and just abs and backs exercise, or balance with the balloon, the Swiss ball is interesting. Swiss ball, and trying to put the back on the Swiss ball and the 2 feet on the floor, and after maybe to lift 1 foot. So the players will see it's different if he lift the prosthesis, or if he let the prosthesis on the floor and lift the second foot. And after, for the coordination, a lot of exercise like a ladder, agility ladder. So sometimes you don't need the ladder, but you just need the tram lines of the court, and little jumps, 2 feet in, 2 feet out, 2 feet in, 2 feet out, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And when I used to train in some clubs in the group training, I was doing the same exercise with everybody. And after a few time, because I've done before I was amputated, but after a few time, I was able to do the exercise on the ladder, agility ladder, same level or maybe better than other players with 2 legs. So it's not because we have the prosthesis that we cannot do.
Okay. Louis says, greetings from Panama. He's interested in learning about finding places where he can find out about sports prosthesis for below the knee.
Sorry, you can tell me again, please, Richard?
He's interested in finding out where can he learn more about sports prosthesis for below the knee.
Now we have some course with BWF for the coaches, the level 1, and we have one workshop about para badminton, but which covers all the classes, not specially the prosthesis. So if there is a course like that, it's interesting. After in the resource of BWF, manual 13 of or 12 or 13 of level 1, and after can be online, I guess there is a lot of things to see in different sports, and it's still time to go to see in other sports what they do. And last is the prosthesist. I'm pretty sure that they really know, and some they have a lot of experience. And so it's really interesting to talk with the professionals, doctors and people that build the prosthesis, because sometimes they can have some experience from other sports too.
Okay. I guess his question is more along the lines of, is there like any popular brand of prosthesis that a lot of the players use, where he could find out more from a manufacturer or something?
There is manufacturers. The one I know the most are Ottobock. It's a German brand, and they are everywhere in the world. There is Ossur also. And now I know that there is some people who are trying to build the prosthesis with the 3D printer program to make it cheaper. So it's something really interesting, especially if the players don't have the money for buying the specific blade or fits for sport. After I don't know the manufacturer, if they are everywhere in the world, or if they are really specialized, or just for France or Europe, or just South Panam or US. But I know I've seen in US there is some different kind of prosthesis, but I cannot tell you much more because I don't have all the information about that.
Okay. Well, you mentioned one brand, so I guess that's a starting point for him.
Yeah,
I hope
the
that helps.
one I show you were Ottobock and Ossur also. And for me, the foot I have, the Challenger from Ottobock, is really good, and really good also because there is a heel and you can put a shoe. It's quite easy. So it's a big damage for the shoe. So when I was training a lot, because now I'm retired, but when I was training last year, almost every day I had to change shoe every 2 or 3 months. So that was kind of budget. But when I went to the European Championship, I could see the manufacturer, and I told him, okay, I have a trouble because the foot is quite good, but when I put in the shoe, my shoe is destroyed in few months. And I showed him what I had, and he told me, okay, we will have a look to that. But the last time I was lucky because in my club in France, there was a guy doing some foot shells for everybody. And so I could see with him, and he did one for my able leg. to put in my badminton shoe, and he also did one very strong to put in my second shoe for the prosthesis. And so it just allowed the shoe to last a bit longer.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you very much, Professor Guillaume, for sharing such an interesting presentation with us. It has been very enriching to have you on the program and to learn a little bit more about para badminton.
It was a pleasure for me.
Thank you. And to you, our audience, please
Thanks,
help us
everybody.
improve.
Muchas gracias.
Okay. In today's webinar, we salute all their photographs. Here we have Kundo from Argentina. To our audience, especially Norberto Facundo from Argentina, Barry from Aruba, Edgar from Bolivia, from Colombia, Randy from Costa Rica, Jose from Cuba, Andres from El Salvador, Jorge Claudio Sharon from Mexico, Araceli Guillermo from Peru, Daniel from Puerto Rico, Dehini from Republic, and Gabenga from Nigeria. On behalf of Badminton Pan America, we thank you for your participation and hope that you enjoyed today's session. Stay well and stay safe.